All right, gang. Royd Free Senior back today. Today, as promised, I'm going to talk about Steve Reeves, and we're going to focus particularly on an article from Dennis Weiss. Dennis Weiss was interestingly called the Yukon Hercules. Steve Reeves is known as one of the Hercules, along with Reg Park and Lou Ferrigno, of course, later on. But he was in a lot of other, especially European, like B movies kind of stuff. Was in a lot of them. Was pretty well paid, and people know more for that than they do for his bodybuilding career. He did win Mr. America, Mr. Universe, and a number of other bodybuilding titles. He started training. He's from California, and he started training at Ed Yarrick's gym, which was in Oakland, California, where he's from. He started training there when he was like 16, 17 years old. We'll show a couple pictures. He's of course known for having great genetics, and a lot of people, would say that he was able to achieve what he did because of his great genetics. Yes, of course that helped, but he also worked very hard. In fact, he trained from 2 to 4 hours a day. Usually he would do the 3-day split, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday kind of thing, as was popular back in those early days. But he did, I think, pre-contest he would go to the 6-day split, as again a lot of guys did. What's different about Steve's training? He didn't go real heavy typically, and in fact got the guys at York in particular, because they were more strength oriented, like Grimmick and friends. I think they razzed him a little bit about using light weight, because he would typically do higher rep stuff. So when you do higher reps, you're not looking to throw around massive weight too much. But he wasn't weak. In fact, just to show the guys at York, I think, what he could do, he one time did his own style, like snatch grip deadlift, but grabbing the outside plates, okay, and doing a deadlift that way. Now you'll see pictures of guys doing this on the internet with just like 2 plates. He did it with 4 plates on each side, so that's pretty impressive. Another impressive strength thing that he did was a 225 overhead military style press, but from the knees, and the weight is starting on the floor, not from a rack or anything. What else was interesting about Reeves' training? He did have a couple apparatus that were different for him, and one of them was on the calves. He had a thing that was like a yoke and a platform where he could get a full stretch. He was big on the full stretch for the calves. Like to get on the toes with doing calf work. And in fact, speaking of his hard work ethic, as a kid he had a bicycle and was a newspaper boy, I should say, and rode a bicycle. But when he rode the bike, he would always just use his toes on the pedals, which did a lot for his calves. So yeah, he had great genes, and that was part of why he had those diamond-shaped calves. And he was known for his aesthetic physique, and had really good proportions. Nothing was out of proportion. He had, the shoulders and the waist and the calves and the biceps were all. Nothing was crazy. Back in those days, there were more massive guys than him, but I think he just had better genetics. But he did lose sometimes to the bigger guys, I think. He did like to train higher reps, as I said. And another thing he did was a lot of what they didn't describe it as drop sets, but it is basically drop sets, where he would do a set of 10 with a given exercise to start with. That would be like his 10 rep max, let's say, and then he would continue trying to do 10 reps, and in doing so, for the ensuing sets, would lighten the weight, and so the weight would go down, so it was kind of like a backwards pyramid. He also, interestingly, trained to failure on just about every set. Did very little rest. He was about quality training, let's say. He moved quickly from one exercise to the other. Biceps you'll see a couple pictures. His favorite bicep exercise, as a lot of guys were, was the incline dumbbell curl, which he did strictly, except when he went up to like really, and he did go up to, like 120 pound dumbbells with these. But I think when he did the heavier weight, he would start out on that incline bench and have the dumbbells on his knees. And then when he went to raise them, he would give a little kick with his knees to help him, a little bit of momentum, get it started up, and then let it down slower. And he did do a little bit of negative emphasis, although not quite like, Menser style, but a little bit slower than the concentric. And again, a little bit like Menser, trained most sets to failure. So that's interesting. And he did have a very wide back, which he was known for. And one of his favorite exercises there, which was a little bit unusual, you'll see him. He did a lot of low pulley rows, and you'll see him like sitting on the floor with his feet up against a 2x4 or something doing them. But he also did a kind of unique style to him, where he was like standing up, not fully upright, but kind of bent over, gets his body in more of a 45-degree angle and doing them. I could not find any pictures of Steve doing that, although I did find another guy, which I'll show you a picture of. What else? Of course, his training philosophy, which I started the video with, is kind of unique. He was very much against drugs. And again, he's known more for his Hercules roles and all these other kind of B movies in Europe, as opposed to his tremendous bodybuilding career. Though he did have a pretty good bodybuilding career, but I think more people know Steve from his acting career than from his bodybuilding. Yeah, of course he had great genetics, but he worked very hard. I'm not going to go on at length here. I just wanted to point out some of the different things about his training philosophy and the way that he trained, rather than going into detail about any one particular thing. On shoulders, he liked over standard old school stuff, and still currently, popular. Just overhead presses, both with dumbbells and barbells, and keeping it strict. Again, not trying to max out with those things, but doing more rep work. Wasn't big on bench presses, but he did like inclines were his bread and butter, both with barbells and with dumbbells. And again, with the squat, he did focus more on hack squat and front squat than full barbell squats, again, because he didn't want to get big hips and a big butt, which was like what Geronda said about doing full squats. He did incidentally say that when they did full squats, they did full squats. They didn't go to parallel. They went all the way down. But other than that, yeah, he had a belt that had like a little hook on it, I think, where he would put the weight to do his hack squats. And I guess they are standard style front squats like anything else. But I think those are a little bit difference of Steve's training. I'm going to cut it off there. Thanks for watching. I hope you'll consider subscribing, and I'm out.